Awesome. Okay, so first team. Let me bring up the list. Bam, bam, ba, bam, ba, bam. First team comes from Sky Valley. By the way, we can't do every single one that came in. I think I've had over 40, which is our highest ever. So thank you. That's
Oh,
your fault. So thank you very much for
so
that.
slow.
Yeah. So we're gonna do about 10 or so. And we've already picked them up, and we're all set to go. So thank you very much, everyone who's looking to give us your team, or if you already have. So yeah, first off, what do we all think of this team? Everyone in chat and yourself.
Yeah, it's great. But I think maybe Firmino's the only thing missing. Like, look, I
You shut
obviously
your dirty mouth.
obviously the premise of this is clear, but I often like when people ask me for RMCs these days, I just can't say to them, "What do you think?" Like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I'm going to be giving advice, which is basically telling people to buy my players
Hmm.
because there's a reason they're in my team because I think they're good. So often I try to push it back on other people. I mean, this team's absolutely fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. Like
Yeah.
one thing you might want to do is take Firmino out for Conley or something, and then go 3-5-2. You've got space to have a punt on the Harvey Barnes, have a punt on the Yarmolenko when his fixtures turn. Not really missing very
What do
much
you think
either.
about Gaz in goals? Obviously, Nick brought him in on his wild card, and he was a bit upset about it the very first week. But then the second week, like he got 2 bonus points, 12 saves, which is another
Mm.
four. Like he got 8 points, I think, last week, which is
He did
frankly way too many. Like he should not
that.
have ever gotten that, and it pissed me off. But he stopped Salah and Mane from getting too many goals. But also, and more importantly, he stopped Firmino from scoring a hell of a lot of times. What do you think about him, like as a long-term punt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why not? 4.4 is the cheapest playing goalkeeper, isn't it? So if you want to minimise spend there and maximise it elsewhere, yeah, sure. There's a clear logical case to do it. And on paper, he plays for a top six team, so of course, no, he's the
shots
only.
shots fired as an Arsenal fan. Nice.
Well, I mean, I'm not a tribal Arsenal fan at all. I'm a realist, so I think that
Yeah, yeah.
we're in the same spot as they are, really, as of having a bit of a crisis. But they've probably got a bit more moral fibre about them than our team do at the moment.
Oh
But we'll
yeah. What did
see.
you make of that like gladiator style? Are you not entertained by the captain?
Hmm.
were you pissed off? Were you worried? Were you bothered? What do you
Um,
think's gonna happen? Tell us
Uh,
everything.
I thought it was a little bit. I mean, I don't rate Xhaka. He's not because he's being asked to play a defensive role, and he's not a defensive midfielder by any stretch of the imagination. You can see it. Like I think, oh God, I can't remember who I read it in the Athletic today. But there's two types of players. There's a reactive and there's proactive.
Hmm.
Like a proactive player will move, like like how Laporte defends, for example.
Yeah,
He doesn't need to make a tackle because he's already in
he's
the
already
right
there.
place to make
Yeah.
the tackle. And you see how Kante moves as well. Like moves to interception, but he's already made his movement before the ball's reached the receiver. So he's already there. Whereas with Xhaka, he sees it happen, then he reacts, and that kind of slowness of thought is basically what's behind it. And being asked to play a defensive role, he's not a defensive midfielder. I think he's a
No, he's
Caroliero,
not
isn't he? On
anything.
yeah, he'd be great if you were playing a FM save and you were Torino or something like that, like a
Hmm.
mid-range Serie A team. If you brought Xhaka in, he'd be your star player. I can guarantee you that. Like he'd be
Yeah.
your make him
Like a
into your
Lampard
carrier.
or something, right? Like just sit him in the midfield
No,
and just let him
he's
do
a
anything, or
he's a
what do you think?
ball recycler, and that's what he is.
Right.
He's
Okay.
very neat and tidy. So if you play the Sky game, I think last year or the year before, he was a top scoring midfielder because of pass
Wow.
completion. That's basically it's lots and lots of passes. He's a metronome. He's a Jorginho sort of character, but shouldn't be asked to be doing any defending because he clearly can't do that. Um, but yeah, I mean, basically a trumped up Swiss or Jack Wilshere or Tom Cleverley. Think about
Right.
that sort
Okay.
of
Oh, I see.
character.
Yeah,
That's
I
basically who
don't
he is.
really. It's hard because like when you watch him now, because I really didn't watch a lot of football until maybe last year when I started getting into FPL like
Mm.
heavily. But when you watch him now, he's just missing everything. Like you said,
Oh yeah.
proactive versus reactive, and he
Right.
takes a lot of the stick about what's happening right now. But it's a poor. I feel bad for him. I felt bad for Tierney, being a Celtic fan and watching him in his first official
Mm.
start in the Premier League, and then he's got to deal with all that shit, and no one gives a shit about like how Tierney was playing or anything because it's all
Yeah.
this big whole like what's happening with the captain. You know what I think he should do? I think he should resign as captain, and it would be the most captain thing he's done so far, right? Because think about that would take all the players' anger out of him getting stripped from it. It would give Emery a chance to reset without having to anger anyone
Mm.
like who picked him, and it means that he could get the fans off his back and just stick to his game and start trying to do well again. I think that's what
Yep.
he should do. but I don't think it's going to happen. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would just drop it.
No, so Arsenal released a statement by him not very long ago, actually, probably about 7:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he basically said it's basically sorry, not sorry, because I've been abused in horrendous ways by people online who claim to be fans of the club, which is fair enough. There's a line you can like professionally dislike someone or professionally not rate someone, but being a dick to them as a person is a different matter. So you can think that someone you work with isn't particularly good at their job, but don't be a dick to them, basically. Like, people are still people at the end of the day, and I think a lot of the time, like, anonymity. The Unreal tournament. Have you seen the Unreal tournament thing from 2004?
No.
The piece, I think it's John Gabriel's idea, John Gabriel's theory of the internet, which is normal person plus audience plus anonymity equals total fuckwad, and I think that's definitely true. Like, obviously in the stadium is one thing, and I think it did go a little bit far. Like, disunity, I think, has been a bit of an issue, clearly. But yeah, online when you're writing stuff like here's my baby daughter introducing her to the world, writing stuff like he said that he'd been sent, it's just absolutely disgusting. Like, that's just too far, isn't it? No, you gotta wonder seriously about the person who thinks that's all right to write in the first place.
Yeah, like they're
also
fucked up
sends
in the head
it.
if you think that you're okay to like talk to people like that in the first place. So I can totally see why he'd be like, are you not entertained? Like, get off my back. I love that shit. It's my favorite.
I can see why. I can see why. Like, it's a very human reaction to stuff that you can't see. Like, a lot of the time, it's people just look at it and think, oh yeah, but it's because he's been rubbish and because he's so bad, he doesn't really see it. He's deluded. La la la. Probably there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, he's so tunnel vision. He just ran straight down the tunnel. No, I totally.
Yeah.
I didn't write that, by the way. I'm here all week. Right, next team. It's from Cholm. Or CHOLM. I don't know how to pronounce anyone's name. I'm so bad at it.
It's an Irish name, that one, isn't it? I always have to. I have to ask FPL Stag how to pronounce so many names.
Oh, really? Is he good at it?
Well, he's Irish, so
it kind of works out well.
Job done. He speaks fluent Irish as well, so yeah, job done. He's been on. I think he's been on Gator Channel or something. All right.
All right, let's have a look at this. So first off, it's template. It's probably the only template one, or hopefully the only template one I picked. Other than obviously no Liverpool players. Is that a mistake going no Liverpool players? I'm sure there's loads of people listening right now that are like, do I have to bring them in for this game week or this run of game weeks?
You can go without until probably after the Palace game and game week 13 if you want to. Game week 14 onwards, their fixtures get really, really good. So I'd probably be looking at Mane or Salah there. But at the moment, yeah, sure. Because the thing is that Aubameyang did have good fixtures. It's just for whatever reason he's completely tailed off. It's a shame. Whoever's Colm's team. I think it's Colm actually. So Colm Meany. I think it's. I think it's Colm. I think it's Colm. Yeah. But this manager's team is very good. It's been set up in a way to try to obviously have the big differential with Aubameyang, and it's just not worked out basically. But it's covered with Vardy. You're covered with Sterling and De Bruyne. Covered with Mount and Maddison. Yeah. Like, nothing particularly wrong with the team either. You can probably remove Aubameyang for someone cheaper. You can go keep in the 3-4-3. You can take him down to somebody and go 3-5-2. You can do whatever. There's loads of flexibility there, especially with Otamendi, who needs to go ASAP.
Yeah. What have you been telling people when they're like, oh, what did it do with Otamendi? Because like you said, go away ASAP. Now he's a shit player, and the only reason people were bringing him because he would probably play a lot of games with the Laporte injury. But now he's so bad that Pep has decided to bring in like centre defensive midfielders to play instead of him. And also I heard that he, like, of the X amount of games that he rarely plays with Stones. Pep doesn't like that double up. So what we've been telling people with Otamendi, obviously to get him out, but who to bring back in instead?
Well, whatever suits you. So who would be?
That's your answer.
So if you want to get Mendy in, great, do that. If you want to take him down in order to afford Vardy, if that's who you think you're missing, do that. If you think that you want to take him down to afford a Liverpool player, do that.
So whatever you want, but
because team, it's always so situational, isn't it? You can never say this to this is what everyone should do. That's never true, is it? So it's so situational. But yeah,
They're all
I
based
don't
on.
know. It's up to people. It's up to people. I would remove Otamendi, and the great thing about him being a little bit more expensive than a bargain bucket player is that you suddenly have a lot of money, and there's the people like Tomori as well hanging around, like players like that you can just buy and safely put in your team,
Yeah.
and then you've got money to spend elsewhere. I think Chilwell would be an interesting one, just because like obviously Leicester are playing very well. For this guy, obviously you can't do that, but Chilwell would be the team that the one that I may want to look at if I was doing a straight swap. But
Would you
I
be
did
happy
offer
with the
him to
double up
Mendy.
then with Leicester?
Yeah, because Soyuncu for me is my first sub now.
Right. You're
He's
just
not
gonna keep
he's
him on
not
the bench.
yeah, he's got no attacking threat whatsoever. Like he's basically a cheap version of buying the port. Like apart from double game weeks, the port doesn't really offer anything either. So
Yeah.
so he's basically just that. So yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
I agree. In this particular team, like Otamendi and Aubameyang turn into Salah and a pretty decent striker and just play five. Or even if you wanted to get rid of Madison or whatever, you'd have even more money for a striker. So yeah, I'm completely with you. Aubameyang hasn't worked out. Otamendi definitely hasn't fucking worked out for anyone, including his team and his teammates. But
He's
he
been
worked out for
dreadful, isn't
Norwich. He worked out for Norwich. That was good.
he?
It worked out for me because I was one of the people who didn't bench Pookie, which was nice. Did you bench him?
Yeah.
Did you have him
No,
for
I
that?
didn't. No, I played him. I played him.
That's good. All right, let's move on
Yeah.
to the next team. This one is from Sean. I can totally pronounce that. Easy name. Yeah, no, I think it's almost the exact same thing, except he has no Sterling and he has two
Mm.
Salah Mane instead. Now he's got all the classics in defense, so we don't really have to talk about that. He's got Pope, which by the way, I got rid of Pope just because every single time I get sent around my team, they have Pope in it. So I brought in before the 8 or 9-0. I brought in Schmeichel because he played so well for Denmark and he was just in form. But every single person has Pope. You have Pope as well, right? Are you just gonna leave him there? Just gonna let him deal with it because you got fires elsewhere. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just
why
happy
not?
with that.
Just leave him.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't
Okay,
worry about
so what do you think of Mane and Salah? You think it's too much? I think it's
it.
good.
I think it's ahead of its time. I think in game week 14, 15, 16, 17, that's going to be really, really good. At the moment, you're missing out on Raheem Sterling against Southampton. You missed out on
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling last week against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And you're kind of hoping, obviously, that the players that you've got match the play that you're missing. And that's the same for everybody. So this week, as I said earlier on, I'm hoping that Jimenez / more pay, match Vardy effectively. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
So in this case, you're hoping that Sterling is that Salah matches Sterling basically.
Yeah.
That's a fair gamble. You probably get good odds on either of them scoring.
I mean, it's a
It's
decent,
it's probably a little bit.
game week for it, I guess. Last week wasn't, but this week's probably better. And that assist goal for Salah and Mane was probably a belter for this guy's game week.
Exactly. Exactly.
I wouldn't if this team was mine, Sean. I probably wouldn't jump on Sterling. Like you've kind of made your bed. It would be too much to kind of move on to Sterling now and then back up. I don't know if I would do that. Would you jump? Would you do the tango?
No.
Yeah,
Well,
neither would I.
no. I mean, if you've got 2 free transfers and you want to use one, then fine. But I mean, Villa are no great shakes at defending. Like they've been pretty poor in terms of giving up shots and giving up shots on target, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I mean, you've probably got. It's just one of those, isn't it? That I think the riskiest transfers are the ones that you take, knowing there's a pretty decent risk that you're gonna be bitten by it. Like the best transfers are the ones where the player's injured. Great, okay, I'm gonna get rid of him, bring someone in. I know there's no risk that I can be hurt by making that move. With selling Salah, we all know what can happen, So I mean, if you've got 2 free transfers, you could, but I mean, because you're using a free transfer just for the one game, sure, why not? And then swapping him back, but. If
you
you've
prefer
got
Sterling
one,
over Salah just for the next game week and then absolutely rip him out of your team again and bring Salah back in, or would you kind of leave Sterling and go with him over?
if it was in my team, I'm just going to leave Sterling for the rest of the year. I think why not?
Yeah.
Like he's a 240 points. He's averaging it. I think it's 235 points averaging each season. Just leave him there. Don't mess around with it. Same with Mane. Same with KDB. Just leave him. Like you don't need to worry about them. Like maybe Salah is the one I'm going to miss out on because I'm probably going to go with Robbo and TAA eventually.
You're
But
going to bring him in for the really really good run, just triple up. Couple
Basically,
of difference.
yeah, yeah, of course. I haven't got Salah, so equally because my team, which will probably look quite template,
Hmm.
won't have Salah. This person is going to have could have a very very exciting time, and people who decide to double up on Liverpool midfielders could have a
Yeah.
really exciting time.
Aye, if they go
Um,
and do a 9-0 or something, or an 8-0 like the Watford game, or the City
oh yeah,
Watford or
yeah,
whatever, then you're banging. Yeah, you kind of hope for that for
absolutely.
every single one of your players, to be honest. So yeah, let's just move on. I think in if it was my team, I would struggle to have both Salah and Mane and not Sterling. I would love to have them both if it meant that I could also have Sterling, but I don't see a way you could do this without heavily downgrading your strikers. And both strikers are in the form of their life right now, so I think I would maybe jump on Sterling and just leave it, but I also don't mind Salah and Mane. So yeah, let's move on. Thanks, Sean, for sending your team in. This one's from Ian. Now this is a double up in Liverpool just now, which I think, like you said, is a bit before its time. But Allaire, now this is why I kind of put this in, because not only does he have Allaire, but he also has that triple up in Chelsea that I wanted to talk about. So what do you think of Hudson-Odoi? He played 90 minutes in a week there, and he's got now big competition with hat-trick scoring Pulisic, perfect hat-trick, as it were.
Yeah, it's a shame for Hudson-Odoi. He's now consigned to being a rotation risk player, and therefore probably off the menu for me. When he does play, great, fantastic. But the fact is that, again, probably Surgeon James said that we'd all kind of conveniently forgotten about the fact that Pulisic was there. It suited us and
Yeah,
suited people who were buying Hudson-Odoi that Pulisic was out and Nicole never going to play. And in fact, what Lampard said was, he didn't have any rest after the summer, so I was giving him a bit of time off to readjust, get used to being in Chelsea, and I'm going to put
yeah.
him in a lot now. The shirt's his, I think now, surely, and Hudson-Odoi is playing in the cup, so. Yeah, probably one to divest on. The beauty is that there's loads of options at that price point. You've got Harvey Barnes, you've got Tielemans, you've got Yarmolenko, you've
Yeah.
got McGinn and Grealish once their fixtures calm down. So yeah, it's not the worst place in the world to be. And you've got, I think I'd be tempted to Phil Connolly over Hudson-Odoi if I own this team this week, just because Hudson-Odoi may well get 5 minutes off the bench. Last week got 0 points for him, didn't he? 'Cause he came off the bench for
And a
12
yellow
minutes and got a
card.
yellow
Yeah,
card.
yeah, yeah. That
That
was
was it.
great.
Liverpool back, double fullbacks, yeah. And what was I saying earlier on? But they're basically centre
Yeah, this
midfielders.
guy's the same
They're
as you.
basically
He's
midfield.
playing a 0-5 or a
Exactly,
0-7-2 or whatever.
exactly.
What about
I think,
Allaire? It's really difficult to bring him out just now because of his two good fixtures, but like
sure,
they're gonna die soon, and Allaire is
absolutely.
really struggling to be a striker right now.
So, so with Valère, what happened was that when he was playing for Eintracht Frankfurt, which is Frankfurt United in German,
Hmm.
when he was playing there, he had lots of very good players around him, players like Luka Jovic, who went to Real Madrid, and players like Anton Rebic. Um, what happened? I think what has happened are two things. One is that he's now adjusting to being kind of the main man, although Felipe Anderson arguably is the main man at West Ham,
Yeah,
and he's also probably not quite kind of adjusted to, like, Pellegrini doesn't seem to know his best 11 at the moment, and like you've got the case of Fornals being played on the wing when he's actually a centre midfielder, a number
yeah. There's a
10.
bit
Like,
of rotation there that doesn't really help out. It's almost
yeah,
like Arsenal, like they're really not getting their gel together.
yeah,
Did you play the most recent Football Manager when now they've added where like if you keep players in for long enough, they eventually form like a bond, and
yeah.
that is so true for everything. Obviously, we've been watching football for a while, but I feel like West Ham and Arsenal and a few other teams now have no yellow lines between their players because they switched out so much. So you're absolutely right. I think Hilarious just kind of he's up there, but he doesn't really know where the ball's coming from most of the time
Yeah.
because he doesn't know the skills of everyone yet. So he's like, oh no, I know that he could probably get there. Whereas when you watch Man City, like De Bruyne knows that someone's going to be at the back post every single time. It's probably going to be Sterling, if not Aguero. Like he absolutely knows that, and they kind of stick to that same thing. So yeah. So for this team right now, knowing what we know now and what we just spoke about, what the fuck does this guy do with Hilaire? What do you do? Do you leave him? Do you just leave him? You're kind of a big advocate of leaving people.
Well, I mean, for every, like, it happens every year, doesn't it? Where you've got a player, he doesn't really perform very well, but he's got good fixtures, so
Yeah.
I feel like I need to leave him, and it works out both ways. You've got, for every kind of Mo Salah removal, there's a Mitrovic when you should have removed him, but he goes on to blank even more. Like Pookie this year, we're seeing,
Yeah.
like, you remove him, and you're like, oh shit, I've just removed a player who could smash it. With Haller, the underlying stats were very good to begin with, and now they've really tailed off. And with a player like that, yeah, you may get a goal, and you may be thinking, "Oh yeah, my patience has been rewarded." But over the last few weeks, have you really enjoyed it? Probably not. Could that money be better allocated elsewhere? Probably.
Yeah.
So it's probably an easy transfer to make. If you can afford Vardy, great. If not, you can afford Jimenez, or you can afford somebody around that level whatever excites you, basically.
Yeah, so it's kind of advocate of fun. Like, it's not fun owning LR, so just get rid of him and bring someone in that's going to make you enjoy watching a game that he's playing instead of frustrating you.
Exactly.
Totally agree, because he's a frustrating player. I think I owned him for a little bit, and then yeah, I quickly realized that was a mistake. So,
like me and Firmino.
yeah. Oh no, Firmino's gonna come good, man. And if he doesn't come good, then I'm gonna ruin him for every single owner, and I'm totally fine with that. And I know that's cliche to say, right? But he's actually a curse, and I feel like it's mostly because of that game week 3. See, if I just brought him in and he didn't do well, I would be like, yeah, no, that's fine. I'll just move him. But see, because I brought him in also for his in between his amazing scores for that like one shit game where he didn't do anything. Oh, it's just heartbreaking. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Let's move on. Flapjack sent this one in. I've cut his bench off. So I'm gonna find his bench while we look at this. Just his first 11 right now. So what do we make of his first 11? It's pretty much the same thing. Otamendi's in, Mount there, but this is one that Pookie's in there and captained as well. I don't know if he did that just for the Ray My Team, but what do we make of it?
Good. Yeah, template is. I think all these teams are going to have a very similar spine, as we spoke about it on our podcast. Otamendi has to go, obviously. I'm guessing he's got Lundstram off the bench, so probably could remove him, could leave him, whatever. You got Sonchi, you got Tomori, you could bring in. Pookie captain is probably beyond the pale, really. I mean, as we said earlier on this week, it's one of those. You could be proven right. You could be. Captain Hindsight has got 20/20 vision, and he's obviously very, very powerful. But what we know now is what's important. And really, the odds are go with the odds on this one. Next week you have plenty. You can captain Pookie next week against Watford at home on the Friday night. So do that. But maybe not this week.
He's got Dunk, Soy, and Saka on his bench. So he could probably bring in, Soy for the Otamendi against Crystal Palace, who are kind of toothless at the moment. I know they can score a penalty whenever they want, right? And that's fine. Zaha can absolutely throw himself down, and that's totally cool. Which, by the way, was amazing. He deserved that penalty, and I'm so glad that they overturned that stupid ref decision. Like, he was so quick to just be like, nah, he dived. Like, what?
Yeah, it's just a case of a
feet away.
Player's reputation preceding him, unfortunately.
That's pretty much it, isn't it? Which kind of sucks because he's I think he's actually matured recently. Like, he's in the last year, maybe 2 years, he's kind of stopped doing that stupid shit that he used to do, where he just like chuck himself down. But yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right with the Pookie thing. Like, it could work out, but if it doesn't work out, like I said, like, you're gonna look like a twat, and it's gonna hurt your game week if he doesn't, because you're missing out on that Sterling mass captaincy. But yeah, no. He said in there that he's kind of thinking about moving Dunk and Otamendi on for Cancelo, and like you said, whatever you decide to do, that's absolutely fine, as long as you get rid of Otamendi. So that's absolutely cool. Thank you very much, Flapjack, for sending your team in. Right, we're going to mash through the rest of them because we're slowly running out of time. Oh, very quickly running out of time. So this is from FPL Audit, who's in the chat just now. Thanks for sending your team, buddy. This is the Buckfast winning mini league. So right now, why did I put this one in? Oh, yeah, Van Dijk. What do you make of the Van Dijk situation? Because obviously, like we've been talking about, fullbacks, absolutely good. You're not playing a defender, you're playing a winger. But like Van Dijk's he trolled everyone with the goal at the very first game, and that kind of helped everyone who didn't own him, because it meant that people were just going to like, oh yeah, no, he gets goals from corners, and they just left him in. And he's still the second most owned player in the whole thing, despite doing fuck all for so long. But what do you do? Do you get rid of him?
Oh, it depends on if you're looking at him like a season. He's basically a goalkeeper, Van Dijk. Like, he's a 6-point hero. He's a 6-point hero. Yeah, like that's all he does. So you paid 6.5 million, hoping you get 6 points half the time, because that's so same with Ederson. Ederson, I think at the start of the season he'd kept a clean sheet 49% of the games he played. Yeah. So you're paying 6 million for 6 points times 18, 19. If you think that's a good use of the 6.5 million, leave him in and have a double up. Nothing wrong with that. If you think that perhaps you could get more value for your money by going for Robertson, and he's more likely to get above 6 more often, then go with that. I think it's completely viable, especially when Liverpool do start coining in the clean sheets, which is probably going to happen fairly soon.
Yeah.
To have Van Dijk there because you've got an extra 6, so you've got maybe got a chance of bonus. So the goal threat stuff is non-existent. You can get lucky. You could get lucky with him. I remember last year I owned him for that Everton assist, for example, or when he got
Oh,
that random.
that was mental. I
Yeah,
forgot
no.
about
Yeah,
that.
I think he's got a random
Oh,
brace as well at one point when I
did he?
owned him as well. But it's all just it's luck with
Lucky. It
these
was
players.
lucky.
It's luck with these
There was a
players. It
point
really is.
when he was it. It was that like assist that he got because it came off the bar
Bar,
against
yeah,
Everton, and he actually tweeted later on saying like it was he
it's an
retweeted
assist.
FPL assist and then just like laughing like it
Yeah.
technically was. It was that was great. So Roman, who is FPL half of FPL audit, said that he's not massively behind Robbo in points. He doesn't think, but obviously Robbo's better, but not worth a transfer. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Is like he's viable. He's not a fire. Is what we're kind
Oh,
of getting
absolutely.
to. But Josh online has quickly pointed out that this guy doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne. Now, we don't like the word essential. Every single podcast says that. We don't like the word essential because there's a million ways to skin a cat, as you very, very politely put this week. But is Kevin De Bruyne someone you have to bring in?
Yeah, for your own sanity more than anything else. If you are, as I'm sure Romain is active on Twitter and speaks about FPL a lot, it just becomes a point of like, if you put your team up or if you speak to people, like it becomes something that you just apologize for. You're like, I know there's no De Bruyne, really sorry about that. Or if you at the moment, I found that I'm doing that with Vardy a little bit when I put my team up. Like, I know there's no Vardy, and but
Right.
here's what I might do if that happens. I know you've all gone mad for him. But with De Bruyne, it's completely justified, isn't it? So to an extent with Vardy it is, but with De Bruyne, it really is justified. And psychologically, for your own sense of sanity, that's the main reason you bring in a player like that. He's highly owned, like to be in. And I know the worry is that you think, oh, I've missed the boat completely. He's gone up to zero point 0.5.
Oh
Fair
no,
enough.
he's
That
worth it
makes
at
sense too.
11. I think like there's some
Yeah,
players
exactly.
when you look at him and you was like, oh, he's only 9. Was it 9.5 million? Like
No,
that was an under. He was undervalued by at least 1.5 million. He's
oh, yeah.
only a non. He's only under 10 million if he is injured. Like, and that's fair enough. Kind of goes into that Sanchez, Lukaku type kind of pricing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how you could, like you said, like for your own sanity. He's actually put in the chat just masochist question mark, because he said he's going to go out without him for until game week 18 probably, which is another 7 game weeks, like a month and a half of just non Kevin De Bruyne points, which is when you put it that way, it's cringy, isn't it? It's just, it's hard to take. I wouldn't do it personally, definitely not. If I was going to try and bring him in for here, you've got Dean and you've got Martial, and you could probably mix them together and get enough, but you would need to maybe get rid of Jimenez. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. And then
You're
like
in, yeah.
Otamendi as well. There's still a lot of money at the back.
Yeah, you're in if you haven't got a wild card, you're in how do I manage the situation territory,
Yeah.
which I'm guessing is where we are with this. So
Yeah.
in that case, you're going to be, yeah, I can see how it would have come together that you've missed out De Bruyne. I can see how that could have happened. It's
Yeah.
probably through not wanting to sell Van Dijk when everyone else jumped off a player like that, so you could afford more going forward.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of spiraled to the point where it doesn't matter if you remove Van Dijk, Otamendi, and Dean and replace them with 4.0s. You're still probably going to be struggling a little bit, plus taking a hit to match everybody else. So the decision would be, you'd have to do something drastic, wouldn't you, and remove a Mane or something like that.
If you
But I
want
can
them
see,
right
I
away,
can,
you might need to walk it through, right? You might need to like 1
yeah.
week do Otamendi out for Rico or whoever, and then
Oh,
1 week
that's-
get Dean out, and then you'd need to like do it over 5 game weeks, which you are absolutely not okay with, because like you said, something's gonna happen, a fire's gonna come up, and plans
Absolutely.
go out the window.
But
yeah.
equally, you've got there are the 6 players who make up that front line. They together could feasibly create an output which is equal to what De Bruyne creates. I mean, if Martial, who's basically the De Bruyne in this team, because I've got that exact midfield except De Bruyne for Martial. If Martial gets 1 more point than De Bruyne this week, then remains 1. great. He's won he's won the week. That's fantastic for him. Whereas on the other weeks when Martial does not match De Bruyne, the rest of the game has won, and that's probably on the wrong side of
Yeah.
risk and reward. I thought that audit were bloody accountants, for Christ's sake. Surely they should have thought this up.
They definitely are.
I just do the cost benefit analysis. What's wrong with you? Jesus Christ.
I made that. He was actually on the podcast, or not podcast. Sorry, this is a stream. He was on the stream a while ago, and it was when he was wildcarding. He was like, "I'm going without any Liverpool players," and it was just like a whole thing, and that actually kind of worked out for him. He was doing really well.
Oh yeah.
But now it's again the same thing, like Kevin De Bruyne or whatever. So it's difficult. Right, the next team. I keep saying we're gonna go through them really quickly. We actually ran out of time, so we're gonna just jump in. I'm just gonna name the fires right away. Matip. Hudson-Odoi we've talked about. Matip, would you just move on to Gomez or just find out who he is and just transfer
It's the greatest centre back in the world who played the last game, wasn't it? I've moved to Chilwell, I think, there, because he hasn't got a Leicester attacking. It doesn't matter. Just don't worry about Soyuncu. You've still got a spot open for Vardy if you need it. Yeah, I could just swap that over. Hudson-Odoi, you can feasibly bench this week and go 3-4-3 because Connolly's got Norwich at home. Yeah. So Matip to Chilwell or leave it.
Thanks very much. That was quick and painless. Nice. David Webb, thank you very much for your team. That noise keeps coming up. Kuyang has sent his team in. He's got the Aubameyang thing. Again, no Liverpool at all, though, which is why I put this in here. Like, absolutely no Liverpool. That is horrible, right? It's horrible to look at. You would need to absolutely bring Aubameyang down, and just totally. Like even Firmino would be better, I think. It's a
-4 if you want to get Liverpool play. I mean, you can feasibly go without until after the City game, even after the Palace game, if you want to chance your arm. I don't, apart from maybe Kevin De Bruyne and a few other and TAA. Who I've just realised isn't in this team. I think he's one of those players I just assume is in every team.
That's why I put this in. It's so hard to look at when you realise like what he's missing.
Yeah, you can get away with it, and if you're happy with it, then great. I personally would not be happy with it because I'd be bricking my pants whenever Liverpool play. Because if you watch TAA, you're just like, how do I not own this? But if you don't own TAA, you watch Liverpool play, I don't see how you can get through a game. Frankly,
I was looking at. I don't remember who I was talking to. I think it might have been on. I don't remember. But someone was like, oh, well, Liverpool is, not having Liverpool is feasible. Remember that guy who won the whole thing and he was an Everton fan, so he never had any Liverpool players. But that was maybe the last season that you could probably do that and get away with it. Because,
that was the Leicester season.
Yeah, exactly.
You had Leicester doing Liverpool.
Exactly. So you just bring in 3 Leicester players and you're fine. But yeah, no, it's a difficult one. I definitely would do anything I could to bring that in. But thank you very much for sending your team in, buddy. Right, this is Adam's team, who you don't know. You've never met him before. He's a stranger to you, apparently. Adam P's team.
What a pile of shit that is.
But it's so symmetrical and beautiful. And
I know. I think he needs to take Alexander Arnold out for O'Connell, doesn't he? That's the only possible option there.
Yeah, I think
absolutely fine. I like the Jesus pick. I think I do know Adam. We spoke about the other week, and I like that. I think that's great.
I think it was a really brave thing to do too. Is to bring him in, especially when everyone and their gram thought Aguero was going to be playing, including me owning him. It was fucking horrible.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's quite a nice pick, and if it's not too bad. Easy way to get, comparatively at least, easy way to get to Liverpool midfielder as well when you need one. Yeah, fine, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely great. I think I would probably take this team over mine if it didn't cost me anything. I really, really like it. I mean, it's very similar to everyone's team, but like the Jesus thing is just great. I actually had enough in the bank because of, how we both did the Son thing and then we moved on. I actually kept enough in the bank when I did my wild card to go to Salah back from Son if it didn't pan out. But then, like you said, game weeks kind of change things and you do other things and stuff. So I actually had enough money this week for a hit to go Aguero to Vardy and Cantwell to Sterling. Like that's how much money I had in the bank, and I just bam, it's happening.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Just rip the band-aid off.
Exactly, rip the plaster off.
Yeah. All right, last team is Rob Pick. Thank you very much for sending your team in, buddy. And I put this team in. I can't remember why. I think I was just running out of time and I had to throw something in. It's the exact same thing. He's got Ottoman. He's got Everett. This is almost that was what it was. It's almost everything's template, and you look at that and you're like, every single player has every one of these players, and then you realize it's another Van Dijk. It's not Trent Alexander-Arnold. So he actually mentioned, how do I get Trent Alexander-Arnold for him? So if this was your team and you've seen this, how would you get TAA in the next game week or two?
Otamendi or oh yeah, you got Conley there, haven't you? I'm trying to think. Like, always trying to think. Like, what's the what's the best 11 there? Because you've got Van Dijk, who is not a fire, but maybe not a player you want to, maybe a player you want to, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Compared to TAA, you got Conley.
If you don't have TAA.
Yeah, you got Conley, who's not going to play every week. Hudson-Odoi and Otamendi are rightly on the bench, and so is Cantwell. So you've got Otamendi, Hudson-Odoi, and Van Dijk, and out of taking them out, you should be able to get TAA, a crap defender, and then an okay midfielder like Harvey Barnes or something like that. I think it's doable in -4 if you've got 2 free transfers. I'd say.
I think you're absolutely right. Otamendi out, Van Dijk out, get bench fodder or whoever. He's not got Rico, who's still only 4.2. I expected him to go up way more, but he definitely hasn't. Because I checked before the stream. Always check the prices just in case, because he's usually like he's doing really well. And I know there's a little bit of a rumor that someone's coming back and blah blah blah. But you can't just kick out someone who won your best player of the month, right? You just can't do it.
Yeah, that's where that comes from. Like, I think people do, it's like, oh, blah blah coming back soon. It's like, well, yeah, but if the player's been doing a Neil Taylor and it's just rubbish, then of course, Matt Targett's going to come in.
And Neil's a big watcher of the stream too, so I can't believe he nearly went out for a whole hour and 30 minutes without telling him that he's shit. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I didn't say that. Just in case the lawyers are watching. But I mean, Rico, why not? 4.2. If he gets 1 point off the bench, that's value at that price.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's all the teams, and that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
No.
You said on the podcast you were a wee bit worried that you were going to be boring, but like you think that your job is boring. It's absolutely not. I think it's honestly so interesting. Maybe it's just me, but like, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. For the second time, although the first time it was just you staring at me while I was trying to like troubleshoot a whole situation going on. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it coming out. Thank you everyone to come on the actual chat, and everyone on YouTube and all that good stuff when we find out more about everything on Twitter. You guys know who Tom is, you guys know where he lives, so that's all good. And 13th is when the meetup is in December in London.
That's it.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye. Just wait for the intro to finish. And cheers.